Yeah, no,
however I can help.
I've got the funny 3.5 week semester that's going to be
Yeah.
starting up. So it's going to be, I mean, the good news is I don't have very many students, but the bad news is if I run into a problem and it takes, 2 days to fix it, I'm sunk. So it's really, it's really nerve wracking.
Yeah. I've got my second class tomorrow, so I'll find out a lot more about how it's going.
Yeah, I was really counting on, like, there's all these other people using this stuff, so by the time I start teaching, they'll have it all figured out. But since I'm teaching another class before that one, I'm like, oh yeah, when am I going to do anything? I don't know when I'm going to do anything. So.
Yeah, I use just as a small anecdote, I use GitHub. I've been using GitHub Classroom to release the repos to the students. And there was I won't say a bug, but an odd confluence of events where some other class was creating like 1,000 repos at the same time. And that wasn't something that GitHub had ever experienced, and the whole thing ground to a halt. And I basically waited for about a half an hour and then decided to go with sort of plan B and not use GitHub Classroom. So at least I had the wherewithal to be able to do that. Okay, what do you have on your agenda, Jay?
I just asked you, do you use the online quizzes in the Spock? And if so, what's the logistics?
I mean, the answer is yes, because I know people do it. I don't use them. What happens, I'm assuming you would just set up the release dates to your liking, and I know that, and I think that stuff is reported when you generate reports.
Yeah, I see in the reports there's space for the quizzes and the homeworks, which get graded automatically.
Yeah. Yeah, I just use the homeworks and I don't release the quizzes.
Do you do any quizzes at all?
Yeah, I have them in my in Canvas, in my learning management system, and just my own sort of our own set of questions that were more, in most cases, meant to be a little bit more straightforward, and in theory derived from someone just watching the video, not necessarily conceptualizing a lot of information. If the best way for me to have transferred those quizzes would have been in the thing that I gave you.
Yeah, and actually, my back end folks were able to import much of that. Didn't always come up in the right.
Yeah, it was more. I mean, it was more for information rather than direct usage.
Yeah, which is fine. And there wasn't a section on quizzes, right? They're just in the different weeks.
Right. Each module, I don't know how it comes in, but each week, more or less, I would have, this assignment to watch this video and take this quiz by a certain time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. It's just.
I'm sorry, Jay came in and said he only has a few minutes, so I don't know.
Oh, it's fine.
Okay, I just quizzes, preempt anything.
The quizzes themselves, I don't think, came in on the import.
Okay, and well, that's something that we can look at to make sure. I'll give you the titles. That's something I would have hoped that would have come in, because I don't have a great way of exporting them otherwise if you wanted to see them.
Okay. Actually, I see one of them that's plan and document versus Agile and Ruby intro quiz.
Yeah, they are all just the names of the videos.
All right. And this is coming up. This one is coming up. Looks like as a quiz on Blackboard.
Yeah.
Is your LMS a version of Blackboard or something else?
No, you imported it to Blackboard.
I know. But what was it exported from?
Canvas.
Okay.
And there is some kind of, ICCP format. I can't remember the acronym,
Yeah.
but there was it looked like it was a somewhat semi-standard learning management system
Yeah,
format.
most of it did import. Some of it, there's a bunch of uninterpretable error messages, but
Yeah.
most of the content is there. So yeah, I can see that. If people who use the online quizzes just, so they're just open for the students when they get open, when it gets visible, and then they've got as much time as they want to research the answers and fill them in.
Janet, did you use those quizzes?
I did not. So the quizzes are really, they're kind of hard. I mean, they're really, and I had made them available to the students and had suggested they try them. And this got me like really, really upset emails from students who were like, I thought I knew this stuff and I took the quiz and, and I got a 64 and, so just sort of, so yeah, I'm almost a little hesitant to even make them available at all because, they were, if you overthink things, and there are a few cases where I actually think that they were where I actually don't agree with the answers.
Well, that's exactly what my feeling too. There were some cases in which they were. I think the answers were arguable if you came at it from a different perspective. So I thought they were good discussion quiz type questions, but not necessarily grade type quiz.
Yeah, I'm talking to other instructors. I felt a lot encouraged when people were saying, "Oh yeah, I was averaging like 82." I'm like, okay, it wasn't just me, because that was, yeah.
Well, so Richard, you do your quizzes on the LMS on Canvas. Are they timed?
Yeah, and I think in the instructions, I often will duplicate the time. It's like, it could be a 15-minute thing. So there's two kinds of quizzes that I have, or two kinds of exams. One are the, did you watch the videos quiz, which I would be happy to eliminate if I could have, maybe have a video. They could submit a video of them watching the video or something like that. In other words, I'm not really trying to test their knowledge, that just that they watch the quiz, which and the quiz that I give is not particularly good. I mean, if I, and I'm sure any student that's running behind will just like look through the slides and go through and guess and get better than a 0. And the other is I do have 3 tests, which I just are multiple choice, which I give as in person during the semester. And they started as similar to the quiz. See, I'm not sure. The first one started as a similar test in the MOOC, and I don't know how it relates to the quiz. How many quizzes are there in edX?
Well, in the first section, I think there's 5.
Okay, then we need. I guess we need to clarify, what we're talking about, because then there are also the quizzes. You're not talking about the stuff inside the lectures. Those like.
No. Actually, there's 4. When I look at the grade book for what I've set up, and I don't. There seems to be 4 quizzes and 5 homeworks.
Okay. So the first, so I gave a multiple choice quiz that was, or test, that was an in-class test that was replicated from what I got either from Berkeley or from the MOOC. I can't remember. It might have been a Berkeley thing. And I decided it was a little bit too tricky at some places, and I simplified it over the years. And it may be like that first one was maybe 20 questions, and then another one was 30. I give them like, it's a half an hour, 45 minutes in class.
Okay.
And then I have a final exam that's a little bit longer, like a few questions from each chapter. My issue, the students never do well on them. The average is always in the 60s. I even asked my TAs who came back from my course. These, like a couple of students were like high-end students that always got 4.0s, and they didn't do so well on the quiz when they were students. And I asked them, when they became ITAs, can you make this like better? And they said, no, like it's all pretty straightforward. So students don't do well on it, and it's just another metric that I have, but to assign grades. But some of my best students who are the people who I'd hire don't do so well, and some of the people that sort of know how to study material but really don't know much of anything seem to do well. I don't have a great way to test in this class.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking of doing the quizzes in class because I'm at the moment trying to think about what I'm actually going to do in the class as we go through the semester. There'll be a lot of questions that come up, I'm sure. And I know already I got some students who will breeze through this.
Right.
And
they're the ones that will help you answer the questions in class.
Yeah. Yeah, I already told them on the first class when we went through who's done what. I said, okay, you're going to be the TA here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just want to give some quizzes just to give quizzes because I need something. And I always curve the grades anyway.
Yeah. Do you know about Armando's question bank?
Yeah, I do. And I've looked at it, but not extremely recently. So I can go back to looking at that.
Yeah. And I'm guessing there's an overlap between the two. So, if you find it easier to create the quiz, especially if you're going to be giving them in class, it may be a better way to create the quiz.
Yeah.
From his materials, and then just pick and choose which questions you like.
Okay. I think I'm done with my emergency questions.
Okay, and the other thing is I was not just because I was busy and I didn't have anything great to say. You asked some questions about how long we give for the assignments, and I'll basically give the answer is a week or two. Is that if they can get it done by the next class, that's ideal. And if not, then I'll either give them an extra week and maybe give them some time to work in the other in the next class. I'm giving them, like I gave them a week for the Ruby intro, but because we got a bad start on it, I actually, even though I said we're not working on it in class, I'll give you an extra week to get it done. And then I gave them Ruby calisthenics, and I'm giving them 2 weeks for that, as much of anything just to allow people to catch up. Not that they really need the 2 weeks, but I said, hey, do the first 2 parts, and then they have a hard time with the meta programming, so I'm going to talk about it. And it actually gives me a little bit of time to catch up at the beginning of the semester, too.
Okay, well, I'll see tomorrow how they've done so far. I know. So last Thursday was my first class. And after that class, I opened the homework one and I gave them until this Friday. So I gave them a week and a day.
And now how are they learning Ruby?
They're learning it. Well, I recommended they do the tutorial before class started, and a couple of them I know did that. And now they're just doing the Code Academy.
Code Academy, okay.
And then I think they're just learning it now through watching the lectures.
Yeah.
And I've got a few students who already know Ruby.
Okay. Yeah, and my experience
I'll see how it goes.
Yeah, when I did it that way, the students that needed to do the Code Academy were not the people doing it. So I have since assigned it, but that means some people are like having to spin their wheels, and it does take a while to go through it all.
Okay. Well, I noticed that most, but not all of them are on Codio right now. And most, but not all of them have done some things on the Spock so far. So I'll see.
Good.
Okay. I got to run, and I appreciate it.
No problem. we'll see you, and we'll be hearing from you. I know you're not shy about asking questions.
Right. Well, that's what it's all there for, right?
Good.
That's
Okay.
what you're there for, at least.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
See ya.
Bye, Janet.
Bye.
So, and just, you may have been in the other one. I think I told you this, but Jay and I, sort of know, we were graduate students together about 30 or 40 years ago.
It's funny.
Just coincidentally.
So it's so funny hearing everybody's deadlines, because for me, they have 1 day for the first Ruby homework,
Yeah.
2 days for Ruby calisthenics.
Yeah.
Although I have mine working in pairs.
Yep, I do too.
Yeah.
In fact, I had such a large classroom. They packed 76 students in a classroom with sort of small little movable desks that last, and I got that set up for the first time last semester. And it was just, the desks were all scattered, and I encouraged students to work in pairs, but it was a, mild encouragement. And I'm trying a little bit stronger encouragement. I'm really asking, I have a bunch of TAs, and I'm asking, as people come in the room, like sort of assign them and set up and move the chairs and so forth. But working in pairs, what I found is the most benefit is it keeps people a little focused in class. People are less likely to be on Facebook and, other stuff. Or maybe Facebook isn't the cool thing anymore, but people are less likely to be distracted when they're supposed to be working with someone. That's the main benefit.
Yeah, I do a seating chart and assigned pairs.
Yeah,
so
I used to do the seating chart, but when you have movable 76, a sea of desks, there was no way to assign seats.
Yeah. No, it does get tricky, but yeah, it helps that nobody else uses my classroom. So, that's one of the nice things about the block is we get a room for the entire 3.5 weeks. So yeah, so my thing I'm at right now is I don't have a legacy Cloud9 instructor account. So it sounds like Jay's been able to make Codio work, but I just have to figure out if I can get licensing. Because
the guy that we've been speaking to, my guy was named Philip. I'm not quite sure who, if that was the same guy that Jay. I know Jay spoke with him a little bit. He was very good at accommodating, like, one semester's worth of a student for a free trial. And he set that up. I just went through the process on Codio, and it took a day to, or a day or two for whatever. I guess it was over a weekend. And then they contacted me and sort of approved me. And then when I followed up, they gave me, more student. I said I got 152 students, so he gave me 160 sort of seats in my virtual classroom and extended it through the end of the year.
And now, did the students have to buy licenses to then access that, or did they get that?
Not for this trial. What my concern is, going forward, because the cost that he was talking about was more than I was comfortable with, like asking the students to pay for, and probably more than, unless the department were using it, for other things. It's just a lot of money considering when the alternatives are free.
Yeah, I mean, the good news for us is since the students would only need their account for a month, in theory, I could just have them only use demo accounts. But
in what environment?
In Codio.
Oh, Codio, the demo account. I don't, I understand the demo. I mean, if you're just reading the material, what I got confused of, the demo accounts is really a demo for the teacher.
Oh, okay.
So there wasn't a way to sign up. There wasn't a way for the students to sign up unless the teacher signed up and provided them a classroom. So you can easily get a demo account, I think, and then, extend that into real enough for your course. That shouldn't be a problem from my understanding. the issue is going forward, because in some ways there's an option to do what we did. Were you with us before the Cloud9 days?
No. Well, yeah, I was.
Janet?
The virtual. I'd be thrilled if I could just get a virtual box.
Should we freeze?
You know.
Oh, okay. Sorry. There was frozen, and then it, like, your answer came out like a chipmunk. So
yeah.
Were you there pre-Cloud9?
Yeah, I was there for VirtualBox, and I would be happy to go back to VirtualBox.
Right, and that's my big issue with this, is that to pay $50 a student when we could just set up essentially a virtual machine. And there's something called, it seems like where everyone is gravitating now is something called Docker, which allows you to set up an environment locally on a machine. And a local environment actually, in my mind, has a bunch of advantages. It doesn't hit on the internet if the internet goes down, because we always have issues with people connecting and disconnecting in the classroom. Our Wi-Fi, for whatever reason, has that characteristic, and all that would go away with, or a lot of that would go away with a virtual machine or Docker. So I would be happy to go that route too, or it would be hard for me to argue against that if it's $50, $50 a student. But that's a future issue for me. That would be next spring at the earliest. So I'll cross that bridge. But the code, if you want to go ahead, I'm doing the Codio Cloud9. I mean the Codio stuff. Jay is, and it looks like that's a viable alternative. And when Matt Ryder gets in here, if you want to do the VirtualBox equivalent, he has Docker scripts that he was pretty successful at getting things set up. But that was, I didn't want to go that route because it seemed like Codio was looking simpler at that point.
All right, so I did put in a request with the Codio folks for a demo. We'll see how quick they are at getting back to me.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get our IT person. We have a department IT person who I was hoping I could get involved in helping out on this, but I don't know. And I have a paraprof who I was hoping to have join this call, but apparently he forgot the 8 a.m. call. So because probably once I start teaching, the only thing that usually works for me when I'm teaching a class is if I just do that, because I'm so exhausted. Yeah. We're basically with the students all day. You know, teach at 9 or 9:30, depending on the class, and then, if I'm lucky, I can get out of here at 5. But I'm usually either teaching or grading or something, and there's just not much mental energy left for anything. And
I understand. I mean, in some ways I'm unsympathetic. In some ways, it sounds like a nice thing. Also, because it's like, this is what we're all focused on, and there's no like excuses, oh, my other class or this or that. But
there's some real advantages to teaching this way, but the physical demands on the instructor are just really, and I'm going to be doing 3 in a row, which I've done 2 in a row, which is pretty awful. I'm going to do 3 in a row this fall, and it's just, but I like the fact that I can give them a homework assignment, and I know that, I'm not going to have the situation where, oh, I've got an exam in my other class and I couldn't work on it, or, those things are really nice. It's nice for the teamwork, And
it sounds like you're seeing them, like they're there in proximity, which is great. That's what I try and use my classroom for. And I'm telling the students, take advantage, really try and get the work done as much as you can here. We're here to help. If you slack off and say you'll finish it at home when you run into problems, we won't be there to get you through it. So
I actually schedule an afternoon session from 2 to 3, and I say I'm not going to take attendance, but they know I mostly expect them to be there, and then they come in, and I'll usually stay in the room with them until everybody has it done. So so that's pretty nice. So there's definitely a lot of good things about this, and our students are great. I mean, they're all super smart, but they're not quite, they're not quite as tightly wound as at my previous job. So, and they don't really, for a lot of these homeworks, they don't really need 2 days, but as you know, you can run into all sorts of problems trying to figure out that, those 3 little lines of code you have to write for homework too. So, so I give them the extra time and, that's fine.
Now, and the Codio stuff, I have not set it up much, but everything I've heard from the one TA that's sort of taken it on is that everything is reasonably straightforward.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons that I even moved to it, because just in the couple of days as the semester was starting, every time I asked him how are things going with Codio, he says, yeah, it's like it's sort of a breeze, and it seemed to model like what we were trying to do sort of well, and it sort of meshed in. It wasn't like we were fighting it. It just it matched what we're doing. The thing that I'm going to be doing next week, what we've done is we created initially one workspace and got students into it. And then for Ruby Calisthenics, what I did was we did it like as if it were Cloud9. Just we said, CD into tilde workspace, and then clone the repo. Okay, and then they sort of reuse that workspace. What I think Codio's model is to create a new workspace for each assignment, and we're going to try that not next week, but the week after for the Sinatra homework. If it works out, I'll report back. But I think what it is when we give them the new workspace, it sort of has it. Maybe it has it pre-cloned. I don't know. I don't know how it interacts with GitHub Classroom. Basically, there was even flexibility in how to use it. It was so it wasn't an issue.
Okay. Yeah, I'm really bummed about Cloud9 because I originally wasn't happy about it because I like to do a lot of work when I'm not online.
Yeah.
I'm going to be going on flying to California in a couple of weeks, and it's like,
yeah,
I could work on the plane if I was in VirtualBox, but then I just found that the advantages of being able to share the workspaces and all of that was so nice that I ended up not really missing VirtualBox at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think Codio is going to be so much overkill for And yeah, I mean, the other thing is just tell the students, yeah, you need a Linux environment,
Yeah. Well, the other reason that I was doing the Codio is that I got a strong sense in the few weeks before I started is that Armando was speaking with Codio, and that was where we were like, where they were gravitating, moving the AutoGraders into the Codio environment. So it looked like that was going to be the future. I would, it's like one of these things, you place your bet with a particular technology or a particular group of people, and it remains to be seen. If we do go with Codio, I think I'll have made the right decision. And if that stalls and falls apart, perhaps not, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, but figuring out the costs, because I talked to my chair and she's like, if you're going to make the students pay for something that's not a textbook, you've got to advertise a class as having lab fees and
right,
all of this stuff. And even frankly, even now, I don't go to the bookstore for a textbook because the bookstore doesn't do Kindle.
Right.
So am I going to have students who are on scholarship who have to pay for a book they shouldn't have to pay for? And some point I'm
my bookstore does something for those students, and it's often a hassle. They wind up sort of getting the wrong thing often, but is I use something called the Zybook, which is an online textbook for another class, and they were buying it from the bookstore because of financial aid issues, but the bookstore was giving them the code to another section, and that kind of stuff. But yeah, what I do tell my students is that anyone who's on sort of financial aid, well, you don't have this issue because you're so fast paced, but I tell them, for me, the first week or two, the first chapter is a free download. So even if they have no money, they don't have an excuse.
Yeah.
They can get the first chapter Kindle version. Okay, so when's your date? Oh, so your issue, you still have about a month or so, right?
Yeah, I have about 6 weeks.
Okay, but you have your other class, so
yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll know. Next week, hopefully we'll be a little bit better attended between Sam and Matt, and we'll know a little bit more. I really am curious to see what's going on with Codio. There was supposed to be a technical meeting last Friday that I tried to join, but it turns out it didn't happen, to try and figure out how to get the, if the AutoGraders could in fact run in the Codio environment.
Yeah, and I'm going to be really curious, because they talked about the Spocks going away and things.
Yeah.
And, I would like to make this class, a regularly offered class here and give it its own course number and all those things. But if there ends up being issues with the environment and the cost to the students,
yeah,
I don't want to. I don't think it's ethical to be offering a class. It's like, if you take this elective, you have to pay these lab fees, and if I don't know. It's just a weird.
Well, it's the way, I think to some extent it's how you handle the textbook fee issue.
Yeah.
In other words, the way that I tell my students is the textbook is $10. Yeah. In other classes, it could be $100. And all my other classes, in fact, it is closer to that. So I wouldn't have a problem adding on, like making them spend $50 for materials for the semester. I just don't feel like the computing environment is one where I can have them pay that much money, like because we could just use the Docker or a virtual box or a virtual machine. But whatever. Well,
and I think the issue is the students who are on scholarship, because I had mentioned, I might be able to do it for, because the student licenses are $15 a month. It was the only price I've been able to find on the Codio website. So I said, well, $15 and a $10 textbook doesn't sound like it's an outrageous amount of money to pay in a class. Sure. But yeah, no, my chair was concerned even about, the $15 on a student who's on scholarship.
Yeah, 15 would be more comfortable to me. But then again, even if I do that, people are going to say, oh, well, I can set up this environment for free. I already have a Linux box. And then I'm not going to have the uniformity, which may be, which has its advantages. One of the things in terms of sharing workspaces, I'll mention in Codio, is that in Cloud9, there was that live sharing. And in Codio, I haven't researched it all, but I haven't seen the live sharing. I can connect up to someone else's workspace, modify their files, but I wasn't seeing their terminals and editors sort of live at the same time.
Yeah, so to me, that's taking away a lot of the advantages of it over VirtualBox.
Yeah, possibly. And then, but the other thing is, both with, I guess, the VirtualBox and the Codio, people can screen share and I guess work that way. But people could access each other's workspaces, just not in a live sharing way. And maybe there's a switch or a way of accessing it that I'm unaware of. I haven't done any research on it.
Okay.
But actually, that's a good thing, is if you do speak to Codio people, ask them about that.
Yeah, no, I think that's important. So. Yeah. Okay.
I'm ready to try and get some work done.
Sounds like a plan.
Good. And so I'm glad I started this. I was like a little hesitant. It was like, oh, maybe I could cheat and just, but no, it's good to speak to Jay and help people out, help him out that way. And until next week.
All right. I'll talk to you then. All right. Bye-bye.